Excellent. And that's also behind the idea that forgiveness and wow, Patrick. Thank you for taking us on that journey this morning.
Yeah.
Wow. But it reminded me that, at the core, the word forgiveness, the verb to forgive, means to give up, to let it go. To let go of the pain, to let go of the illusion, to let go of the duality, to live to let go of separation, and to live in the oneness. And so really that's what this is about, setting the stage. To set the stage to shower people with love is to let go of hostility, let go of resentment, let go of pain, let go of the illusions of separation, and to really get down into that experience where you can forgive. Because once you do that, see, we know that nature abhors a vacuum. So once you give up this stuff that's been holding you back, that's been tying you down, then the universe can fill that in with goodness. It can fill it in with grace. It can fill it in with joy. And there is my whole talk right there in a nutshell. Fine. Tina, come back. But you know me, I've got more. We could get, actually, what we could get to is we could get to the beans. Karina made, no?
I made soup.
You made soup?
Ooh.
Rob made soup? Rob is an incredible cook, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, indeed. I can talk to you out there. I can go from table to table and chair to chair. It can be that way. The stroll, yes. Be like my grandfather was an itinerant reverend. He went to different Baptist churches all the time, so I'll just go from different tables all morning long. Yeah, but this idea that love, because I'm really talking about the various aspects of love. We talked about inclusion last week. Now forgiveness. We talked about givingness and also gratefulness and receiving. Those are the aspects that really make love work for us in our lives. And this thing about forgiveness, though, it thwarts the activity of love. If we haven't done that, it thwarts the activity of love. It acts like cosmic Velcro. It just holds you to that thing that you're having that resentment about. If it keeps you in a dislike of attachment to dislike when we don't do that. You belong to it, and as I hear in some of the rooms that the people attend, it's like renting space to someone in your brain without them paying for it. When you're holding on to the resentment, when you're holding on to the pain, when you're holding on to the anger. I was out in the front yard and was picking some Meyer lemons for my sweetie because she loves lemons. Beautiful tree, serious thorns. I had a Byron Katie experience with the tree. I was trying to get a lemon way up high, and I kind of lost my footing, so I grabbed at a branch. Right? Yeah. And boom, right? So in order to get rid of that pain, right, of the thorns in my hand, I had to let go. In order to get rid of the pain of hostility, the pain of anger, the pain of righteousness, the pain of I did this and you did that and boom, 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 and victim and all that stuff, I had to let go. I'm sorry, to thorns, but I'm not going to hold on to you any longer. I forgive you for what you've done. You've reminded me, and now thank you for the lemons, right? But that letting go is what's so important. And one of my dear, I want to call him a friend because I want to go and study with this guy. His name is Richard Rohr. He's got the Center for Action and Contemplation in New Mexico, and he has all these courses. I'm thinking, if I disappear, it's just look for me in New Mexico. I might be hanging out with Richard Rohr, so I can call him friend personally instead of friend because he gives me so much wisdom. And he talks about this idea of forgiveness. He says, without forgiveness, the logic of victimhood and perpetrator rules instead of the illogic of love. And I love that. How often have those two words been put together, the illogic of love? But it does sometimes feel illogical that we can love something in spite of, that we can love something regardless of, that we can let go of something so that we can love it. Let go of our victimhood. Let go of the perpetrator idea. They did this. See, resentment is really the fertilizer for all the hate and all the pain that we experience. It really does. And when you think about what resentment means, it's one of the ways of thinking about that word, it's to rescind. Like, if you're going to send it back again. So I'm going to send. Did I just go out? Come on back. Come back. Rescind my voice. But this idea of resentment, to re-feel, to remember, to rejoin yourself with the pain of dislike, with the pain of judgment that is holding you back, there's no escape from that except to let it go. You get hooked into I'm right and you're wrong. Well, how's that working in Washington, D.C. these days? Right? How is that working? In truth, the answer to this is within us all. The answer is within us all. If we just use basic science of mind principles. Spirit equals all. Spirit is everything, right? Okay, so then you, ergo, are spirit, because we are part of everything. Spirit has all answers. You being part of spirit means you have the answer. The answer to this problem of forgiveness is with us. And I also think about forgiveness as it's for, before, and give. Before I can actually give, the pre-activity of giving is forgiveness. To let things go. Not an easy task, but plenty of way showers. I'm thinking about Nelson Mandela and Bishop Tutu and how they dealt with the aftermath of years of injustice with apartheid in South Africa. To totally forgive. The way that Dr. King did his speeches, as we talk about during this month of Black History, to totally forgive, to move forward. So we've got it. The story that has sparked the Poetry and Story Salon at the Junkyard. It's I don't know if you know this. Those of you that have been have probably heard this already, but where Reverend Johanna got this idea was from Baghdad. There were folks in Baghdad getting together to read poetry to one another. And at the time, it was in the midst of the war. And so the Iraqi army was quite concerned about people gathering in community to do anything that they were doing. And so they were there to listen. Now it turned out that the poets that were sharing their poets were Sunnis. The Iraqi army were Shia. So right there, you got the recipe for I'm right, you're wrong. And one of them's holding guns and the other one's holding poems. So the ones that are holding poems are reading the poems. And one that are holding guns are listening. And after a while, they're enjoying. And pretty soon, they're sharing their poetry too. And so through the action of poetry, they learned to let go, to forgive, without even a conscious act of forgiving. That's the grace that comes from the practice of forgiving and letting go. Ernest Holmes talks about this. He says that the mind which condemns understands not the truth of being, and the heart which would shut the door of its bosom to the one who is mistaken strangles its own life, closing its eyes to a greater vision. See, when we condemn, we shut things off, we misunderstand, we don't understand, and then it closes off something within us, you see. We become strangled. We don't get a greater vision. It contains us into our lack and limitation, and it holds us back from our good. Catherine Ponder talks about this in her Laws of Prosperity. She says, if you really want to be prosper, let go, forgive, open selves up to those things that are no longer working for you. Even the things that you've been given over the years. We went to see The Upside last night. Anybody seen it yet? Anybody gonna go see it? All other hands should be going up right now. All other hands should be going up right now. Because I won't tell you the whole thing, because I don't like to know anything about movies, but there's this one particular scene where the main character has an opportunity to let go. And when he does, the whole movie theater took a breath, because he'd been holding on to this pain for so long. And it required letting go of some physical things. Sometimes the growth that we need to take in our lives is going to require us to let go of some of our favorite stuff. You know? Some of that stuff has outlived its purpose, has outlived its usefulness. And you know, the beautiful thing is, You can let the thing go, but the memory remains. You don't need the thing to hold on to the memory. And when you let go of the thing, the universe says, oh, there's an empty space. Let me fill it. And it fills it with good. It fills us with more joy. It fills us with a better life. But there's always that problem of, that's a guy thing, right? If it's not working, bang on it. And we have been working with this, and I'm just in that action and go right here. Time to let it go. Yes, indeed. So, what's that? Yeah, we'll have good memories of it. Great memories as we let it go. I love that. I love that. Yeah, yeah. One of my mentors said, you should probably work on that, and so we have, right? We've taken more of it and brought it even more into the service. Pretty soon we'll be passing the mic around, which is not a bad idea. But as I think about this process of forgiveness, I realize my own experience. It's not easy. Sometimes the stuff that happens to us gets so far down in the cells that it takes a while to work it out, But what I've noticed through the study of the last couple of weeks and just my own work over the years with forgiveness, because growing up in America with the skin the color of mine, you have a lot of opportunities to learn to forgive things. What I've come to see is that everybody has their own show. I got a friend who her greeting to everyone is, love your show. Love your show. And I was thinking about Catherine and her, love your show. And it dawned on me that in the idea of forgiveness, sometimes people just make mistakes. They just make mistakes. And if it's their show, maybe the cameras were rolling on a bad scene. Maybe it was just a mistake. Right? And so all they have to do is shoot the scene over again. And I, as one of the directors, we're all directors, as one of the directors, I could say, hey, roll cameras again. And that's my act of forgiveness. Roll cameras again, and let's do another take. Let's reshoot this scene and make it a little bit better. It's just human to make mistakes. Star Trek, love the Ferengis. It's human. Right? It's just human. And Data? Virginia? Oh, my goodness. And the next line on here says grudges too. Letting go of grudges as well. And the frustrations that they come with them. But the thing about letting go is we can let go and let God, but that's not like putting a premium on making mistakes. It's not like we just give everybody a pass. We can sometimes have to, like Marianne Williamson says, I forgive you, but I'm not ready to have lunch with you yet. You don't have to hang out with the person just because you forgive them. But it is part of a natural process. It truly is. Think of the oyster. Reverend Linda McNamara, one of my favorite teachers, wrote this. I love this. She says, just as it is natural for the oyster to transform its irritant into a pearl, there is a divine creativity within us, urging us into transformation. Right? It's an irritant, the stuff that we're having trying to forgive. It's an irritant. But we can turn that into a pearl as we let it go. When that clam opens up, boom, the oyster opens up, boom, there's the pearl within. As we open up, there's the pearl within that we get from this opportunity. But it takes courage, and not necessarily a physical courage. It takes a courage that's ego-based, because that's where we're working this up, right? When you go into they're wrong and I'm right, it's your ego that's fighting for the right. So that takes a lot of courage to say, I made a mistake. I was wrong. But I get transformed by the forgiveness. Ernest Holmes says it's a very scientific thing to let it go, and it's unwise to hold on to the pain. It's a stepping stone to our better selves. We become more gracious, we become more whole, we become more loving when we act in this way. The lack of it, the lack of forgiveness, keeps us frozen, locked up, as if we're living in St. Paul all winter long into the spring. We're just locked up, frozen. But this lack of forgiveness equals our experience of separation. It takes us out of union with the divine. It takes us out of the universal consciousness that brings us to more happiness in our life. Back to Richard Rohr, who says, nothing new happens without forgiveness. We just keep repeating the same old patterns, the same illusions, and the same half-truths without forgiveness. You can't move forward. Boom. It's like a stop sign in your life. That's all you can see is that pain that's been caused by you or that's been caused for you. Jesus says that first we forgive our brother and then we forgive ourselves. If we let go of the other, if we give the other first, remember the cosmic Velcro, that pulls the Velcro off. Now I don't have that stuck to me anymore, and now I can work on my own inner forgiveness. And it's very simple to do. And it starts with just simply being willing. Being willing. When it becomes hard, when you find yourself in that space where you just don't want to let go, just say, you know what? I just want to be willing. I accept that I am willing to forgive. And that opens the door. And then have patience for the process that unfolds from that moment, and compassion for yourself. To know that maybe it takes a little time to reset the scene, to reload the cameras, and to roll the tape one more time for the new take. But in time it will come, and the gifts will come too. As we give our inner attention to the process of forgiveness, our outer lives begin to change. We begin to get more energy in our life. New relationships and old relationships become like new relationships. And we can see the evidence because the universe is all about love. And it's always loving us. It loves us not if we forgive. It loves us so we can forgive. It keeps giving us these opportunities over and over to experience more of that love. I find in my own life when I forgive, it frees me. I feel somewhat healed. I feel renewed. And I feel grace start to roll into my life. Go back to the lemon. When I let go of that Meyer lemon, I felt renewed. I felt grace. And there it was. There were the lemons. I came in. I made this great orange juice. Lemonade. I'm all about, because we're so blessed. We also have orange trees in the backyard. Yeah. No, that's in Patrick's yard. Yeah. But forgiveness, this idea of healing that comes from it, it's like the psalmist, and I think it's Psalm 51, and it says, create in me a clean heart. Create in me a clean heart. We have the power to create that clean heart in ourselves by the simple practice of letting go. Back to Richard Rohr for one more time. He says, when we forgive, we choose goodness over faults. We experience God's goodness flowing through us, and we experience our own capacity for goodness in surprising ways. See, the infinite presence, the infinite intelligence, it's so vast and so magical and mystical in many ways that we don't know. We don't have the capacity to truly understand how much good can come into our lives. But we do have the capacity to create the space for that good to flow into our lives. And that's what the practice of forgiveness is all about. It's about creating the vacuum, creating the room for good to fill that space. The Course in Miracles has a lovely line here. I want to share this with you. It says, do you want peace? Do you want peace? Forgiveness offers it. Do you want happiness? A quiet mind, a certainty of purpose, and a sense of worth and beauty that transcends the world. Do you want a quietness that cannot be disturbed? A gentleness that can never be hurt, a deep, abiding comfort, and a rest so perfect it can never be upset. All this forgiveness offers you. Course in Miracles. So as we Look for those surprising ways. As we roll into this season of awards with the Oscars, the Grammys, and all the others, as you think about loving your show, it's your movie. Are you ready to accept your Oscar? The stage is set, and so it is. Prayer time. Can we have the prayer box? Okay, ready for some transformation? Here we are. I am lovingly transformed by the divinely courageous act of radical forgiveness. Yes. And radical prayer. It was a radical idea when they came up with this affirmative style of prayer. It wasn't all that radical, really. Jesus did it for centuries before us. Well, for years, centuries before us. Sometimes I actually listen to myself. It's usually on Tuesday on Facebook in the replay, but today it was right now. Notice. Yes. Right. Okay. So let's use this power of prayer. Let's use this scientific affirmative prayer treatment to put a vibrational word out into the universe, and then collectively we will make it real in the lives of those that we are expressing our good for right now. So if you have a name or a condition or a place or anyone that you want to put into prayer, let's have that right now.
Carrie and Kathy and their son, Careminder,
Patricia. T. Michael's travel.
Lisa, Sean.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me the space to share my own personal love with God, my love affair with God right now, and feeling the embrace of the divine in this moment. I recognize that what I know to be God is so big, so huge, so infinite that we are all in its embrace. Not just we all here, but we all, everything is within that is spirit, expressing as divine love, as a perfect principle that hears the word spoken and then goes about the business of condensing and coalescing those words together into form, into matter, into experience. So in this moment, I recognize all the voices that have been shared in this room and the words that came forth from those voices, and knowing that the intentions behind the words spoken has already been heard by that divine presence and already put into action by that infinite law, matching together the intention with the reality, with the evidence to create a demonstration, an experience that is real and felt, that is uplifting and is supporting and is healing, is purposive, so that all those areas where harmony is in need, harmony is now delivered. All those areas where prosperity seems to be lacking, that illusion has been lifted and prosperity has been delivered. I'm speaking in the past tense now because it's already done in spirit, and so we now are receiving it and recognize it in time and space, and at the moment that we recognize it, it was already done, so it's in the past tense. It's already happened. This is the amazement. When you feel happy, you were happy before you said you felt happy. When you feel love, you are feeling love before you recognize that you were feeling love. So we're always a step behind the magic of spirit. So I'm so grateful that it knows and sees and delivers through an intention, conscious recognition that happens through this co-creative realization and relationship. So standing here in gratitude, I release this prayer to that perfect law, knowing that it is done, it is complete, and together we say, and so it is. Miss Tina.